beast system. More beast system.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
dailystar.co.uk, the headline, virtual children to replace real kids by 2050 and, quote, help with overpopulation. Wow. You know, I don't want to say we told you so, but this is one of those headlines where, you know.
I tried to tell you.
Yeah, I've been trying to tell you for a long time, folks. This sort of thing is possible. It did remind me of, and I've mentioned this story over and over again. Go check it out. It's a fictional story written by Matthew Mather, I believe, and it is titled Atopia Chronicles. And one of the big themes you can get it as an audiobook on Audible or something. One of the big themes is the idea of virtual children. It is a big topic in the story. So yeah, just keeping that in mind. Here's what the article says. Virtual kids born in the metaverse could become more common in the next 50 years, according to an AI expert. Author Catriona Campbell believes parents will want to care for digital children in virtual reality using a headset to feel like they're really there with the CGI kid. These virtual kids would just be like the real thing, but could be switched off at the touch of a button. And Campbell argues they'll help the world deal with, quote, overpopulation. Oh, that's a convenient side effect. Oh, man. In a book released this year, Campbell says the Tamagotchi generation will be born and be available to parents for a small monthly fee. Wow. Yeah. Man, we all saw it coming, didn't we? In the book, she says, quote, virtual children may seem like a giant leap from where we are now, but within 50 years, technology will have advanced to such an extent that babies, which exist in the metaverse, are indistinct from those in the real world. She adds, quote, we're already well on our way to creating the Tamagotchi generation, which, for all intents and purposes, will be, quote unquote, real to their parents. On the basis that consumer demand is there, which I think it will be, AI children will become widely available for a relatively small monthly fee. AI children. No more excuses. I can't have any children. Well, you can have an AI child. Oh, like the movies? No, not like the movies at all. The idea that the world will become dangerously overpopulated is not supported by data. Oh, good for you, Daily Star. Bravo, Daily Star. Although the global population is set to continue increasing over the next century, it is due to eventually flatten and slow down. Yeah, especially if they keep pushing some of the agendas they're pushing now. This is already happening in countries in the West, including Britain, which have aging populations and declining birth rates. In the UK, that means the population is set to decline by 2025 and begin shrinking, which will lead to many unfilled jobs. Population growth tends to slow in post-industrial societies as contraception becomes more readily available and more women enter the workforce. One estimate suggests you could fit the entirety of the world's population in an area the size of Los Angeles, although it would obviously not be very comfortable. Put simply, it's unlikely that virtual children will replace the real deal anytime soon. Thanks. I love the logic here. It's like, well, it's not going to happen because we're not going to have overpopulation. It's sort of like, that's funny because, they're saying, first they're saying like, oh, it could help with the overpopulation problem. But no, it's not because we're not overpopulating because we already pulled off the, eugenics thing. We already did it. You see, we don't need to do more. We've already done it. It's just kind of a funny admission in a sense that, there is no overpopulation. We've already curtailed it. Look at UK. It's all declining. So, the virtual children thing, it's not going to happen anytime soon. Although, probably would help in their view, It's like, hey, if you want virtual children for a small fee, why not? Sure. So, yeah, it's a kind of a disturbing thing. And yes, it is a theme in that book, Atopia Chronicles, where one of the main characters, the wife, basically has children in one of the virtual realms. And that's something that the book talks about, which I think is This sounds ridiculous now, but it probably will happen. And that's this idea of proxies. And so think of it this way. We're going to have digital twins, right? We're going to have our digital sort of selves, a copy version, a bot version of ourselves out there on the internet doing things. And it'll kind of be our little workhorse. Like, I program it to do this certain type of thing, and then it just goes out there and does it, whether it be through chat or anything. And that's going to happen, folks. I mean, I know that we've talked about it before, and we've tried to kind of stay ahead of it, but that will happen. Every person on the internet, all these influencers will have a digital copy. But in that, there in the story Atopia Chronicles, they have these proxies where they make a copy of themselves, and then the copy is able to attend different events, different virtual worlds, different meetings, even take over the physical body, where in your mind, you're at some conference in the metaverse with Mark Zuckerberg talking about some business deal. But your body is just going through the day to day. Make sure you go to the restroom, eat some food, get some sleep. It's sort of the automation is programmed into the physical body, whereas your actual mind gets to sort of roam in the virtual realms. And again, in the story Utopia Chronicles, the wife has a proxy that she goes back to in person every once in a while that kept these children, these virtual children, and her husband didn't know about it. So that was kind of the big thing. And it brings up the ethical question. Hey, it's not real children, but also she didn't tell her husband that she was living this whole different life with all these virtual children in that other realm. Is that unethical? And it just brings up all these interesting questions. It really shatters our paradigm when you talk about ethics and morals and the implications. Now, I think as biblical Christians, we're pretty straightforward on how this stuff is part of the unfolding plan of God, and he's going to solve it eventually. But it's supposed to get pretty messy. And I see that with all of this technology and all of it happening because, I've talked about it before, how in the book of Revelation, and there need the recovery, the true big biblical restoration happens with a new heaven and a new earth, which means old heaven, old earth. Something wrong happens. Something goes terribly wrong. So, just keeping that in mind. That's why none of this surprises me. And I know none of it surprises all of you guys out there as well. Just real quick. This is from digitaljournal.com. 18-year-old cyborg Josh Universe seeks to expand humanity's influence into space and biohacking. Just sort of to put a nail in the argument, today about where we're headed. There's an 18-year-old cyborg named Josh Universe, and he started the Celestial Institute. It says here, quote, "I'm working on a company called the Celestial Institute, where I research these topics and ultimately hope to publish them as papers and speak worldwide to ensure the world takes a step in the right direction when approaching space." And I went to the website, and not a great start to the Celestial Institute. A lot of coming soon, a lot of things being built. Although there is a little bio on Josh Universe. And he wants to operate. He's currently a sophomore at the Florida Institute of Technology, specializing in astrophysics. So he's doing all the right education. He also operates MNN, which is the Multiverse News Network. Also Stardash and StarMart, StarPass, and the biohacking community, and a few other things here and there. So, if he's being featured or just his name being thrown out there in this capacity, keep an eye on him. There's young people being lured into this whole cyborgism, which has been sort of thematic throughout this episode today. All right.